This is the Georgia Farm Monitor. Since 1966, your source for state and national agribusiness news, and features for farmers and consumers about Georgia's #1 industry, agriculture. The Georgia Farm Monitor is produced by the state's largest general farm organization, the Georgia Farm Bureau. Now, here are your hosts, Ray DeLisio and Kenny Bergamy.
Well, hello there. Thanks for tuning in to another Farm Monitor. Got a question for you. If your favorite piece of farm equipment breaks down, who are you going to call?
Well, here's a suggestion. And this guy is well versed in farm equipment repair. See what makes his job so special and what separates his skills from the rest. Also on the program, a major event at the Port of Savannah, and cameras were there as onlookers gasp in awe at the biggest container ship to ever dock on the East Coast.
Plus, we're heading to the kitchen for another Meals from the Field. This month, we are doing classic recipes, including the always popular peach cobbler. These stories and so much more starting right now on the Georgia Farm Monitor.
The main purpose for the GFB Young Farmers program is to help build agricultural leaders for the future. With the help of sponsors like Case IH, they're able to provide more incentives for young producers to participate on competitive events like the annual discussion meet. Well, back in February, Skye Gess of Hancock County reached the Final Four of the National Discussion Meet in Phoenix, and recently she was presented with a gift from the fine folks at Case IH.
My goal was just to make it to the Sweet 16. Georgia's done a great job of prepping contestants in the last couple years, making it to the Sweet 16. So I just wanted to carry that on and represent Georgia really well. And I'll never forget hearing when they announced that Final Four. I was in complete and utter shock. It's great to network because you meet a lot of different people. You get to learn about different issues that are affecting agriculture, something that you may not be aware of, and you learn about it. And it's a great way to be able to talk to people who don't know a lot about agriculture.
Today we are giving away a tractor to a very involved member of the Farm Bureau. This is a two-wheel drive Farmall 50A. It is a nice utility tractor, definitely for what these guys do out here. I know the winner of this, Skye, she does a lot of hay raking, and this is a perfect tractor for that.
It's nice because you know you're not coming home empty-handed. Making it to the Final Four was a major accomplishment for me. Super excited. You know, the sponsors from Case, Steel. It was great to come home with stuff.
I myself have worked with enough farms to know that a lot of your farmers are aging, and to see the new blood come in, it's an amazing thing to see. And to see where we can go and where we are going, it's really good to see that.
We've made lifelong friends, and Farm Bureau has given me so much. It's given me confidence to talk to people, and what it has given me, I'll never be able to return. And I hope that I can pass it on and inspire other young people to get involved, because it means a lot, especially to this industry.
Excellent job, Skye. Congratulations. Now, in other ag news, the American Farm Bureau Federation says outreach by the Environmental Protection Agency will give farmers more say on the revised Waters of the U.S. rule. Michael Clements has more in this Farm Bureau Minute.
The American Farm Bureau Federation praised the Environmental Protection Agency's decision to collaborate closely with state governors regarding revision of the Waters of the United States rule. AFBF General Counsel Ellen Steen says the outreach represents a new openness from the EPA.
It's a refreshing new openness on the part of U.S. EPA to receiving input from the states in the area of water quality regulation. It reflects, we hope, a less top-down, heavy-handed approach from U.S. EPA.
Steen says for Agriculture and Farm Bureau, the collaboration offers a new opportunity to work with state governments to provide input on the revised WOTUS rule.
We're all going to have opportunities to influence that new rule over the next year, but early influence is always really important, and this is an early opportunity to work with your state and try to shape the future of the new rule. The agency, in being open to state influence, is showing that it may actually be willing to acknowledge there are some waters out there, there are some wet spots and low spots on your farmland that ought not be regulated by the federal government and ought to be left for the states to protect. And that, in the long run, I think is what we stand to gain.
Michael Clements, Washington.
Meantime, with new farm equipment being so expensive, replacing a broken part isn't always an option.
That's why repairmen like Hugh Avery are so important, as they can repair the problem for a fraction of the cost. Damon Jones has the story.
As the old saying goes, a craftsman is only as good as his tools. That's why having their equipment running at peak performance is so important for farmers, especially during the planting season. And that's exactly what Hugh Avery looks to do, as he not only fixes some of the problems these tractors inevitably run into, but he also makes it easy on the farmers by coming to them.
Well, it's a lot cheaper from what I have seen in my time doing this for me to go to them as opposed to loading equipment up and carrying it to a big shop somewhere. It's just easier to go to a man's farm or go to the field where it broke down than him having to load everything up and carry it somewhere.
Avery, who was literally born into the profession with his father working in construction and his grandfather being a blacksmith, has been in the business for the better part of 3 decades. It's a job he really enjoys, as he gets to work out in nature while also helping other people.
Just being outside, and the main thing is, like I said, I can fix something, try to fix it better than it was, and helping somebody out, helping them get back going. Because I understand from the way the economy is now, especially with agriculture. I guess you could say, in a nutshell, every minute counts.
Avery also works with young people as well, showing them the basics of the welding profession, including a stint as a teacher at a local technical college. It's a job market he believes has plenty of opportunity.
As of about 2 or 3 years ago, we came short in this country about 500,000 welders. That's across the board: production people, repair people, iron workers, iron hangers. But I would say to people that really like working with their hands, that have good hand-eye coordination, and don't mind getting dirty, starting off from the bottom like everybody else does, I would enjoy going for it.
Reporting from Dublin, I'm Damon Jones for the Georgia Farm Monitor.
Great story, very interesting. Thank you, Damon. Up next on the Monitor, time to reveal our Mother's Day recipe contest winner. Plus, we're cooking up a classic dessert with Marcia Crowley. Meals from the Field when the Georgia Farm Monitor continues. right, welcome back to the Georgia Farm Monitor and to another edition of Meals from the Field. Joining me, as always, my dear friend Marcia Crowley, our home economist specialist. Good to see you again, Marcia. And if you joined us last month, you may recall that in honor of Mother's Day, we were having a recipe contest. People submitted their recipes online to our Georgia Farm Bureau Facebook page. Well, we have a winner. Congratulations, Ashley Hildanger from Villa Rica with her easy chicken casserole. So thank you so much to everybody who submitted those recipes. So we want to start right away.
We're going to start right away
with Ashley's chicken recipe or chicken casserole recipe.
This is a classic. I'll give her that. It's a classic. This is 3 boneless, skinless chicken breasts cooked, and that's what's in the bottom of the pan. You can cook it however you want it. Boil it. I personally like to bake chicken. If I'm going to put it in a casserole, it doesn't seem to dry out as much, but however you like to do it. We're going to add to that, this is a family-size can of cream of mushroom soup and 24 ounces of sour cream. And you just spread that over the top of the chicken. You can add salt and pepper, garlic, you know, pretty much whatever you want to this mixture. Okay, I'm going to spread that around.
And the good thing about this, thank you, Ashley, it's very simple.
It is very simple. I mean, and it would feed a crowd, you know. It definitely feeds a crowd. This would probably serve 8 people easily with some sides on it. Okay, then we're going to top that with 2 cups of mild shredded cheddar cheese. And like I said, this is something, you know, if you want to cook something with your kids, this would be a really good starting point.
Or if you want to teach your kids to cook,
if you want to
could
teach
start
them
with
to
this.
Cook, you could do this. You could actually use rotisserie chicken. So yes, it's very, very versatile. All right, and then you're going to add 1 sleeve of crushed Ritz crackers. And an easy way to crush Ritz crackers is to put them in a bag and just start pounding.
And give them to your 7-year-old like I do.
Yeah, or give them to your 7. Yeah. All right, you're going to put that on the top, and then you're going to add, if you want to, a stick of melted butter. You're going to bake this at 350 until it starts to bubble and is brown, and y'all know how to do that. So you get that part. Okay, since that's a classic.
And then we got the finished project of it, and you've decorated it here with some a side of green beans and what is that? A little spinach salad.
It's a salad with honey mustard dressing that we're getting ready to make.
Nice.
So this is a classic show. Let's put it here that way. Okay, this is really good. Honey mustard's really good. This is a ½ cup of mayonnaise, and you can double or triple this, you know, as your needs are. But it's so easy, you might want to just do it fresh whenever you want to use it. So that's a ½ cup of mayonnaise, 2 tablespoons of yellow mustard or Dijon.
What about Grey Poupon?
You could do that.
Okay.
And 2 tablespoons of honey. So we're making all these recipes are simple enough for anyone to make, which I like. You know, I like simple recipes. And a teaspoon of lemon juice. You just whisk that together and serve it. Put it in a jar. This makes about, not quite a cup. And you serve it obviously with chicken fingers, which everybody likes, or salad, which is what we have on that. Okay, now the last classic recipe we have.
Which we have never done.
No, we've never really done just classic recipes.
We have never
before.
done classic recipes, and we talked about it last week. We've never done peach cobbler and stuff.
We've never done peach cobbler.
Yes,
so I guess because living in Georgia, everybody's got their own version.
Sure.
Okay, well this one's called an impossible peach cobbler. That's because it's impossible to mess up. All right, this is a cup of self-rising flour, a cup of sugar. We're going to add to that a cup of milk. I did have one consumer, probably 30 years, call me when I was still working at the department, and he messed this up. So I guess it is not totally impossible.
But it's 98.995 foolproof.
So anyway, I won't even go there. I'm going to pour this in the bottom of a 9 by 13 baking dish with this is a stick of melted butter, ½ a cup. Pour that in the bottom. This is the part. You do not stir that because it's already been stirred, obviously.
Remember, do not stir in capital letters.
And you're going to add to that, you can either add 4 cups of sliced peaches. This is 3 cups of peaches, and we're going to add a cup of blueberries just to make a little change in it. And you're going to bake this at 375 till it starts to bubble, about 30 minutes. And I can't stir it, so then you're going to add the cup of blueberries, which is optional. You could add pecans, you could add, as long as the total measurement of fruit is 4 cups, you're good to go. All right, you're going to bake that, and there you have a dessert that feeds 8 to 10 people.
Beautiful, and then you see, get the finished product there. Very good stuff. Again, that is the classic peach blueberry cobbler. Very good stuff.
It's really good.
And the beautiful part about this show and about this episode is that we get to try everything after we get done.
That's right.
So, well, as always, Marsha, I cannot thank you enough. And folks, again, if you want to see these recipes and cook them yourself, you can find them online at gfb.org. That is /recipes. Everything is there for you in detail. Again, Ashley, thank you so much for submitting your recipe. Your recipe will be up there as well. I will see you next month.
See you next month.
And we will see you next month.
Thank you.
Ray and Marsha, thank you very much. Well, time for our final break. When we come back, Extension Corner with our new gardening expert, Paul Pugliese. This month, he has the do's and don'ts on how to plant those shrubs. Stay tuned.
Oh, I better give Jane a call. She has me on the schedule. I told her I'd be working up on the knob this morning.
Ray County farmer Harold Fisher is playing a version of himself. He's one of the actors in this farm theater program. Other producers joined him on stage and in the audience for 3 skits. There were plenty of funny lines, but also more serious talk about issues farmers face: stress, occupational hazards, and health and aging.
But some of the script is, you know, the scary part, it fits me to a T. I have trouble hearing, and a lot of other folks have trouble hearing, but it's exciting, it's interesting to do.
I kept pushing buttons and that thing just kept beeping at me.
No need to memorize lines, the actors read from a script. But the importance here is not on performance, but message. UT Extension helped coordinate this near sellout event in Evansville.
Skits that we're going to be doing are actually based upon actual accounts that producers have had in farm safety accidents. And so hopefully they'll learn something tonight and apply that on their own farm.
The Farm Theater was started by the University of Kentucky's College of Nursing. Using grant money, administrators did research with farmers in Kentucky and Tennessee, and then later wrote the script based on these stories and interviews.
What would make you stop and think about things on the farm? And they said, well, if we listen to each other, because they learn from each other's stories about what almost happened to Joe down the road or what did happen to Harry, you know, up the road. So we thought, okay, stories are good.
A gerontologist by trade and a childhood in agriculture, UK's Dr. Deborah Reed designed the Farm Theater. She leads a discussion after each skit with advice about safety and mental and physical health.
And as you begin to age, farmers are just people like everybody else, so they have issues with arthritis, they have issues with hearing loss, they have issues with cataracts, fatigue, trying to multitask.
I know Jake's daddy, how'd he take it?
He wasn't too happy.
In theater, when you wish someone good luck on stage, you say, break a leg. Of course, you don't want that in farming, literally speaking. But when an actor speaks, especially one who's really lived the plot, it's a performance any audience can appreciate.
And cut.
This is Charles Denny reporting.
Hi, I'm Paul Pugliese with the University of Georgia Cooperative Extension. Today we're going to talk about planting trees and shrubs in the landscape. First thing you want to do when you buy a plant is take a look at those roots at the nursery. Don't be afraid to pull it out of the pot and see, do we have healthy roots or sick roots? This is a great example of a healthy root system. Nice and full all the way to the bottom of the plot, nice white or sort of light green colored roots. That's a good healthy root system that you want to start with. In contrast, if you pull out a plant and it looks something like this, the roots are black or rotten and there's no roots at the bottom of the plant, this is a good example of a plant that's probably been overwatered in the nursery and may already have a root rot or a disease problem. This is not a plant that you want to take home with you because this will actually continue to be a problem and probably won't make it through the first year. So it's very important if you're going to spend a lot of time and money on planting stuff that you start with good healthy plants in the landscape. So today we're going to look at planting a hydrangea, and the technique that we're going to use today is the same whether you're planting a pecan tree or a fruit tree in your backyard or any other shrub or ornamental in your landscape. The first thing you want to do is make sure you dig a good hole. And it's more important to dig a wide hole than a deep hole. A lot of people dig holes way too deep. And when you do that, that'll actually catch water and cause root rot problems in your shrubs. So spend your time digging a nice wide hole. It doesn't have to be very pretty. At least 2 to 3 times wider than the root ball in the container that you buy, okay? When you're checking the level to make sure that it's at the right height, I always say make sure that your pot is about 1 inch or 2 above level, okay? It's better to plant a little bit on the high side than too deep. We always get questions about adding soil amendments. Should I add compost or organic matter to the soil? Research at the University of Georgia and many other universities has actually shown there's no benefit to adding any organic amendments to your soil. In fact, it's more important to take the time to break up the clods, especially if you got clay soil, and loosen up that soil, and those roots will do perfectly fine in that without any soil amendments. Also, the problem that we see a lot of times is people will add amendments to the soil and actually add too much, and it acts like a sponge in the hole. And that's the worst thing you can do to roots, because just like a sponge, it'll stay too wet or too dry, and those extreme fluctuations in soil moisture are not good for that plant as far as getting established. So when you take the plant out of the pot, you want to be very gentle. One of the things you need to remember when you're picking up a plant is to never grab it by the stems. Especially with trees and shrubs, you can actually break those stems and cause damage to that plant. So it's important to put your hand right at the crown of the plant, turn it over, and put the weight of the root ball in your hand. And as you remove the container, gently just slip it away, and you can take a look at those roots. In this particular case, there are some nice healthy roots. This is still a very young plant that hasn't really filled out with roots to the bottom yet. That's perfectly fine. And in this case, we really don't need to do anything as far as scoring the root ball or loosening up the roots. It's perfectly fine to go ahead and put it in the ground exactly as is. Now, when you set it back in here, you want to check again, make sure that it's slightly above grade. And again, it's always better to plant a little on the high side than too deep. There are certain plants that really like well-drained soil. Things like azaleas and rhododendrons, even blueberries, I would actually take it and plant it maybe 2 or 3 inches on the high side, okay? But in this case, level is perfectly fine with a hydrangea. If the bottom is firm, then that's a good foundation for that plant. If you dug too deep and you backfilled it, you don't want it to settle behind, okay? So make sure you have a nice firm foundation. You can even step on that underneath to make sure it's nice and solid. When you get ready to plant, you start backfilling around the edges with a shovel. And again, make sure that that soil is nice and loose before you throw it back in the hole. Continue to backfill around this plant. This should be a happy little hydrangea. The last thing you want to do is maybe add a little bit of fertilizer to get it started. We recommend a starter fertilizer such as 888 or 10-10-10. All you need is about 1 or 2 tablespoons to get it started. For more information, contact your local county extension office or go to our website at ugaextension.org and continue to follow us on the Georgia Farm Monitor.
Paul, thank you very much. That is going to do it for this week's edition of the Georgia Farm Monitor.
Here's a reminder for all the latest ag info regarding food, great recipes, and what's happening down on the farm. Be sure and check out our Twitter, Facebook, and Pinterest pages. You'll stay informed and see what's up in the world of farming and the Farm Monitor Show.
Take care, everybody. We'll see you next week right here on the Georgia Farm Monitor.
As always, have a great week.